All right, let's take a journey through 5,000 years of history, the story of India. We're talking about a civilization shaped by huge empires, deep philosophy, and ideas that literally changed the world. So, where do you even start with a story that big?
Yeah, that's the real challenge, right? How do you possibly cram ancient myths, sprawling empires, and a modern global superpower into just a couple of minutes? It seems impossible.
Well, here's the secret. You don't try to tell the whole story. Instead, you zoom right in on a few powerful, specific details that kind of reveal the bigger picture. We're going to look at a divine loophole, an emperor's radical change of heart, and the incredible invention of, well, nothing.
So let's start with a concept that's absolutely foundational to Indian thought, Dharma. It's all about cosmic order. And honestly, the best way to understand it is through a wild story about a demon who thought he'd found the perfect way to cheat the system.
Okay, so meet Hiranyakashipu. He's a demon king who gets this very, very specific boon from the creator god Brahma. His protection was meticulously detailed. He couldn't be killed by a man, by a beast, or by a god. He was pretty sure he'd found the ultimate loophole to become totally invincible.
But this is where the details of the universe fight back. When the demon king's tyranny just gets to be too much, the god Vishnu shows up. But not as a man or a beast, or even a god in the traditional sense. He appears as Narasimha, a fierce man-lion avatar. He was the divine loophole, perfectly designed to slip through the cracks in the boon's very specific wording.
And the demon's protection, it got even more detailed. He couldn't be killed during the day or the night, indoors or outdoors. So what does Narasimha do? He attacks at the perfect moment, twilight, and in the perfect place, the threshold of the palace doorway. Once again, neither one thing nor the other.
And the final conditions were just as specific. He couldn't be killed on the earth, in the sky, or in water, and not by any weapon. So Narasimha, sitting right there on the threshold at twilight, puts the demon king on his lap, which is neither earth nor sky, and uses his claws, which technically aren't weapons. Every single detail of the boon was just so cleverly and meticulously bypassed.
So this incredibly detailed story, it isn't just about outsmarting a demon. It's a way of explaining Dharma. It's this deep belief that cosmic balance and righteousness will always find a way to win, no matter how clever evil thinks it is. The universe, it seems, always minds the details.
And this idea of moral order isn't just stuck in old myths. It actually shaped real history. Let's jump way forward to the 3rd century BCE, to the story of one of India's greatest emperors, whose entire philosophy was turned upside down by the horrible details of a single battle.
This is Emperor Ashoka of the Maurya Empire. Now, early in his reign, he was a ruthless conqueror. But after the bloody Kalinga War in 261 BCE, where over 100,000 people were killed, he was just so horrified by the violence he'd unleashed that he did a complete 180. He totally renounced war and decided to rule based on Dharma and nonviolence.
And he didn't just keep this new philosophy to himself. Oh no, he had it carved into stone pillars and rocks all across his empire for everyone to read. These edicts promoted tolerance, public welfare. He even set up hospitals for people and for animals. It was a government policy built on compassion, all born from the brutal details of war.
All right, so from the moral order of an empire, let's switch gears to the mathematical order of the universe. During what's called India's Golden Age under the Gupta Empire, another seemingly small detail popped up that would fundamentally change everything.
Seriously, just try for a second to imagine doing complex math with Roman numerals. It's so clunky, it's just a nightmare. Trying to multiply 123 by 54 would take forever. This system was a huge roadblock for any kind of advanced science or trade. A new idea was desperately needed.
And that idea was zero, known as shunya. It wasn't just a placeholder. It was this revolutionary concept that nothing could have a value, that it was a number in its own right.
This one single detail changed the entire game. Zero is what unlocked the decimal system, which made complex calculations way easier. It became the foundation for algebra and pretty much all of modern math, science, and computing. This idea traveled from India out into the world, and it became the universal language of progress.
So, we've seen how these powerful little details in mythology, in government, and in math shaped ancient India. Now we're going to fast forward through centuries of different empires and trade routes to trace the critical details of India's journey into the modern world.
For nearly 200 years, India was increasingly under British rule, a period that started with a trading company and ended with an empire. The 1857 rebellion was a massive, bloody turning point, leading to direct control from London. But out of that, an unstoppable movement for freedom grew, famously symbolized by Gandhi's Salt March, such a simple, powerful act of nonviolent protest. This long struggle finally ended in 1947 with independence, but it was marked by the tragic and painful detail of partition.
So, how do all of these historical details, from the cosmic order of Dharma to the invention of zero to the long, hard fight for freedom, how do they all come together to shape the identity of India today?
Well, here's a pretty fascinating through line for you. The exact same kind of abstract, detailed thinking that gave the world the concept of zero all those centuries ago now powers India's role as a global leader in IT and technology. The legacy is still there, just in a new form.
You know, when you really look at India's history through these specific details, you start to see its core character. You see this enduring belief in a moral order, an incredible capacity for transformation, a legacy of world-changing innovation, and just unbelievable resilience across thousands of years.
From a divine loophole to the power of nothing, we've seen how these tiny details can define a massive history. It really makes you wonder, with a past so rich in these kinds of transformative moments, what details are being written right now that will define India's future?